Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Man, oh man, Pixar has really come a long way ever since 1995. They perfected not only with their animation, but they've also given us amazing adventures, well thought out stories, as well as interesting and awesome characters. But question is this: will their newest animated film give us a great start as the first animated film of 2020? Well, let's find out. Released on March 6th, 2020, the movie is Onward. So, let's get started. Set in a suburban fantasy world, the story involves two teenage elf brothers, Ian and Barley, who embark on an extraordinary quest to discover if there is still a little magic left out there. On the day of Ian's 16th birthday, their mom, Laurel, gives them a wizard's staff passed down by their late father, Wilden, along with a phoenix gem and a visitation spell to bring him back for one day. But when Ian can't get hold of the staff during the duration of the spell, they only manage to get back their father's legs. So, they go out on a night-long road trip to find another phoenix gem in order to restore the rest of Wilden's body. So, what do I think about this movie? Well, I thought this was a really thrilling ride. And to further explain why I love this movie, let's move on to Mustang notes. In July 2017, Pixar announced a suburban fantasy world film at the D23 Expo, with Dan Scanlon directing and Corey Ray producing. The film is inspired by Scanlon's father's death when Scanlon and his brother were very young, and their relationship. He decided to write the story after hearing an audio clip of his father. On December 12, 2018, the title Onward was revealed. In 2019, Jason Headley and Keith Boonen were hired to rewrite the screenplay. As for the animation, well, like every other Pixar movie out there, the animation for Onward is absolutely amazing, and I think Pixar did great when it comes to making a modern-day fantasy movie, kind of like what Hanna-Barbera did by making the Flintstones into a modern Stone Age cartoon. Plus, not only does every mythical creature like elves, pixies, centaurs, cyclopses, and fawns look fantastic, including unicorns that act like raccoons, mushroom-shaped houses, and dragons who are house pets. But I also like the several destinations that Ian and Barley go to while on their road trip, like the Manticore Tavern, which is a mundane family restaurant, the mountains of Ravens Point, and the underground river. Plus, I think this movie's story makes a very emotional coming-of-age film. Plus, I think it's a huge improvement over Pixar's previous fantasy movie, Brave. However, by watching this film, I noticed that there were a few elements that were also used in other Pixar films, like The Good Dinosaur, Inside Out, Up, and Coco. And there were a few scenes that made me think of other things, like Indiana Jones, Lord of the Rings, World of Warcraft, and Final Fantasy. Speaking of which, I think this movie might make a nice level idea for a future Kingdom Hearts game. However, my only nitpick with this movie is that there was no Pixar short preceding the movie. Instead, there was that Simpsons short, Play Date with Destiny. And while it was okay, and I understand that Disney owns Fox these days, I just didn't think it fits to put something from Fox in front of a Pixar film. Plus, I think Simpsons is really overrated these days, and it really needs to come to a stop soon. Anyway, let's move on to the characters and the voice actors. Our main character, Ian Lightfoot, is voiced by Tom Holland, best known as the MCU Spider-Man, and he got to be in The Impossible and Blue Sky's Spies in Disguise. To me, Ian is a very relatable character. He's sweet and he's determined with the best intentions, but his lack of confidence and nervous energy trips him up more often than not. Ian is also convinced that if only he had his father's guidance, his life wouldn't be so complicated and messy. Also, I like the scenes where Ian makes a couple checklists to help improve his life, and while his magic training was a little rough in the beginning, he does improve as the film progresses. Ian's brother Barley is voiced by Chris Pratt, aka Star-Lord from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And he got to be in the Jurassic World movies, which will be getting a new installment next year. Barley is a big, burly, and boisterous 19-year-old elf who loves magic and immerses himself in role-playing fantasy gameplay. He's also a free-spirited who may be slightly more passionate about the past than the present, and he'll fight to the death to preserve historical landmarks. But because he's so focused on the past, he struggles to find success in the present. To me, Barley makes me think of my oldest cousin Shane, since he's like a big brother to me, and I like his encouraging and adventurous personality. Plus, I think his van, Guinevere, is pretty cool. Next we have Ian and Barley's mom, Laurel, voiced by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who played Princess Ada in Pixar's A Bug's Life, and she got to be in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Laurel is a hardworking and a devoted single mom who throws herself wholeheartedly into everything she does. Plus, her love and determination helped her overcome the hardship and make the most of her life with her much-loved sons. Next up, we have Officer Colt Bronco, a Centaur police officer voiced by Mel Rodriguez. This character is also Laurel's boyfriend, and I think he's pretty similar to Officer Paxton from the Ant-Man movies. And I hate to admit it, but Bronco is my favorite character in the movie, due to the fact that he's half horse like me. Anyway, in my eyes, Colt is strong and commanding, but he's completely unaware of the destruction that he typically leaves in his full-bodied wake. But, on the other hand, he treasures his relationship with Laurel, and he earnestly wants to connect with her two sons. Also, like most cops out there, and several Eagle Scouts, he follows the rules, and he sincerely expects those around him to respect authority. Next we have Poori, a Manticore restaurant owner voiced by Octavia Spencer, whom was in Coach Carter, Disney's Zootopia, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, Percy Jackson's Sea of Monsters, and she'll be in Robert Zemeckis' upcoming adaptation of Roald Dahl's The Witches. Gee, first Anne Hathaway and now Octavia Spencer? What else will that movie surprise us with when it gets released this fall? Anyway, Corey was once a fearless warrior and a proprietor of a dark and mysterious tavern that served as a way station for travelers embarking on epic quests. But as modern conveniences replaced magic and any need for quests, the Manticore tapped her practical side, transforming her tavern into a family-friendly restaurant with family-friendly games and fried foods aplenty. She may not realize it, but her adventurous spirit still lurks within. Another character to talk about is Ian and Barley's late father, Wilden, voiced by Kyle Bornheimer. Despite the fact that we mostly see him in his lower half, I think Wilden was a confident, humorous, and determined elf. Plus, he kind of makes me think of my late grandfather, Michele Orro. Since, like Wilden, he died when I was still very little. Other voice actors in the film include Ali Wong, Greta Lyle, and Tracy Ullman. And now let's move on to my final words. Overall, Onward is a pretty good animated film to start off the new year. Pixar did a great job with the animation, as usual. And it was a thrilling road trip, a good coming-of-age film, and a well-done modern fantasy. The main characters, Ian and Barley, were very relatable, and the other characters were decent and sometimes funny. And while the plot was a little bit cliched, I think the movie does improve on the relationship with brothers. And this is definitely a movie that's worth seeing in theaters, especially if you have kids. So, for my rating, I'll give this movie a 98% out of 100. So, let's see what Pixar is going to give us next. Well, this kind of looks like another Inside Out, but I just hope it's worth seeing. Anyway, that's all for now. Be sure to join me again next time as we move away from Pixar and onto an underrated movie from Blue Sky, which, in my opinion, is their first good animated film. Mustang Power.